Greetings. I want to welcome everybody who's come to us tonight from around the World Wide Web. It always enchanted me that WWW actually stands for something. World Wide Web. Well, we're all in the web tonight, and the main people at the center of our particular part of the web are Amel Barrientos and Buttered Roll. We're going to start with Amel and then move on to Buttered Roll later. But a few things about Amel's poetry. Amel has been a regular with us at Backroom Broadsides since we started back in the Fox and Crow, 4 or 5 years now almost, man, I think. But I've always found his work really stands out because I read that among his many accomplishments is that he read at the Viral Verse, or his poetry was read at Viral Verse, which was a performance in Jersey City. Now, it's interesting to me because in a way his verse is kind of viral in that what I love about his poetry, and I find this increasingly, I look for it now, is that he doesn't seem to know where he's going when he starts. When he enters a poem, he might have some broad theme or something, but he allows one syllable to sort of connect to the next one. I think of Laureen Nidecker does that so beautifully in these very small poems. Amel has a similar kind of muse going. And he's a Weehawken poet and musician. And I feel really lucky that he comes to our series at the Fox and the Crow, and really lucky that he's agreed to read with us tonight. And so with that, it's my great pleasure to give you Amel Barrientos.
Good evening, everybody. Hey, James. Thanks again for that. That was beautiful. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have no idea what I'm doing. So that's what we're starting tonight. Most of what I'm going to read for you all is they're basically the last year's poems, and they haven't been tested out, so here we are. But I'm excited to try some new things out. There's going to be maybe one old one in there. First one is it's called Battery Low, and this is how it is. Battery low. Get the power cable when you see the eyes of the bowl flickering mid-stride. The starlight, a party extinguishing. Memory, a flavor text vanishing, like a fugitive draped in a Sandman's cape. Nab the charger when the pacemaker demands a reckoning in an earthquake or a milkshake. When love is melting away like debris and cherries after a biblical rain. Put a battery in when despair storms the gates, catapulting corpses in the air to infect the city in a golden cage. When madness overbears in a double-decker, double-edged, lion-headed breastplate, put faith's jazz and sap into the gaping wounds that ache to be played with. Paint a new portrait with the fragments of Art Deco Legos, Chevrolet window panes, the logos in children's books, veterans' medals, gunpowder flower petals with shitty aim. When the light dims and Wi-Fi hymns start to slim, bring home the primitive and exile the Citizen Kane campaigning in your brain, swallowed by newspapers and snow, bellowing for Rosebud alone. Compose this ode to whatever mystery you adore as it corrodes, but is born again in another flame, colorless and warm. Just don't leave home without that cord. So that one is Battery Low. Now, just to switch things up a little bit, this one's called Go Out. Get that open for you all. There you go. Go out. The shepherdess condones automatic stops. We go loco in the local crop, harvesting hours in the decline of the West, garnering eternal rest below a falling crest. I let myself go in the playpen again. The children's gloves, worn, condense the challenges into talk show contests I don't attend. We've been on easy mode until now. As the snow accumulates and slows us down in the global nest, hanging on a cord, madness fidgets like cats tied in a trench coat, about to be tossed overboard. Bald sopranos shed their sex like snakeskin. What atmosphere will we wear today? The fire and mink fur all but confirms our reservation at Inferno. The earth has already paid. Weather vanes took the daisy train into the pianos of the southern cone, bleeding in the dome and with the dollar, surrounding us like Elizabethan collars around Fido's mane. We can all slave and crow, but we won't grow taller. Ladders rattle in the maze, but no one escapes or bothers. Meanwhile, those farther up the tower are entertained by the horror that they've authored, and they go out to devour. So, keeping with the same, I guess, similar feeling or theme here, this poem is called Hate. And just to give a little background, one of those things, I've had those moments where I wonder, where your motivation comes from. And for some reason, maybe it's not healthy at all, but that hate is one of the most powerful, powerful for me. And there's a strange relationship I have to it. So this is kind of what that is. This is hate. Hate. You were my cut mother, my guiding scissor light, my morning star spike smashing the armor of the indestructible car like ice that would otherwise drive me through the years, asleep for the ride. No bond or brotherhood glued me more to purpose than the acid of your tears, or made me reappear from the magician's buried booth, bearing bloody hooves and poisoned fruit, delicious and severe. With love, you pursued your target near and far, hunting in the moon's night market and frozen bazaar, pure as a snowy inquisitor, unswayed by tribute and paid only with mute scars, mouthless groaning and dues, carried like the notes of a flute or a homing missile en route. Cutting up loose threads of friends, lovers, family, and other excessive webs that smother, you knit my brow like a figurehead on a ghost ship's burning prow, a false sun glowing for the drowned, dyeing the stark robes and flags of clans and fans like a washerwoman's stained hands working the bone-bright desert dark. Yours is the color of life. Yours is the voice of a mirror, a knife whose song loves to carve. To dance with you is to embrace ashes. Yet I am enthralled by your cruel eyelashes, typed like lines of poetry and polite ransom notes, as we waltz like undiscovered life on the ocean's floor in search of throats. So I'm pretty sure people have had a hard time over the last year getting some sleep, and that's another interesting relationship I've had in my life is with sleep. But this one is called Pep Talk After a Nightmare. Pep Talk After a Nightmare. It's not like laser rays of light play on the face of the moaning Arctic cave as dead pigeons raised from Galileo's balcony fly on festival days, feeding the sun's bovine eyes. Or a critic reviews a book with blank pages, gives it a Pulitzer Prize. Or you impersonate an actor to search for a car to drive in your dreams before you realize you don't have one. Or you see a vampire refer to themselves in the middle of the text in third person before disappearing again with our present. Or find yourself a busboy making caricatures of himself and the world in charcoal, getting paid outside a night cafe queue whose vast estate you inherit. Or realize that revelations come too late while you evangelize to well-dressed facts, that your mouth is a blast furnace of sand and you alienate even the shade that you cast. Or in your knapsack is the end of days, a blank slate, smudged and cracked, and lays written in finger paint that bring you back to the madam polishing your axe that will grind and decapitate you atop a baby grand in the apse of the Alps, your scalp flapping like a savage flag, waiting for a stamp to the drag show. And it's not like flowers conspire to devour entire cities in the shower's aftermath. Or, as you retire in the attic, you go from polymath to circus hand for hire, giving haircuts on the house to fire. Or pamphlets and manifestos collapse like choirs of candles the myriads carry in their online mass. Or gifting a wax man a buttercup gives you more luck in a gas mask. Or lowers the volume on your mind's music that blasts paint cans open in sonograph's walls, delivering pentatonic bats and baby dolls. Or eloping in an antique Model T of the universe to grope a novelty will wear away more quickly than the bodies we used to rehearse for the endgame entropy where we return. Dispersed in darkness like Indian urns, in delight and dismay, chewing starburst and clay, the majesty of dawn is lost in the lawn of clocks, soldiers' eyes in the sun. It's not like that at all. So this one, okay, this is not the older one. Actually, you know what? We'll do that one. So this poem I wrote back, I want to say maybe 8 years ago, maybe longer. This was back in college. This was based on the Villanelle form, which is, something that's always fun to play with. But this one is one of those that survived the ages, I think, more unscathed than some of the other ones. So this one's called Disappointment. Disappointment. They will consider you a hack while you produce, struggle, and wane, and it's not because of what you lack that enthusiasm swelters and cracks. It's because your brain settles into its refrain. They will consider you a hack. Even when you are on the path of attack, life loves to change its lanes, and it's not because of what you lack that you pave this road of melting wax. It's when you mix blessings with Janes that they will consider you a hack. Ancient temples collapse in an hour's rack, and all sacred land washes away in the hurricane. And it's not because of what you lack that faces and parades fade into the black, but because you write your name in their pain that they will consider you a hack. And it's not because of what you lack. I don't want to get myself confused here. So the next one is called Treasure Hunting. Let's see where I put it. There you go. Treasure hunting. Looking for Delilahs in the mouths of dumpsters, flowering with dreck and occult lottery numbers, while cultural experts smoke webs and spiders remind the flies that they're blessed. Losing money and gaining weight in perfect balance, like dwarves and phantoms seesawing on the poop deck with mallets, I slide, naked on the fulcrum of malice. Waking up, escaping trains of thoughts before the day is caught and filleted with fish swimming in the grave. Still frothing with pillow talk with my nightmare's boatswain, who pours swords on checkerboard waves, breaking on the bed where I lay. A veteran of invisible wars, these days I navigate 100-foot corridor to monitor the thermometers of delirium, while others delight as they hoard Imperium. And still, deformed creatures are being born during this interregnum's tropical fuckstorm to regenerate this generation's radiated ruins, to swarm their bones with something more than human. Playing Tetris with my patience, I don't know what I'm doing with these machinations. I create monsters, not martyrs, sadists, twisted saints praying for slaughter, with snake daughters in hell's dirty water. A beautiful brood blind in their brewing, drunk on mutant music, thinking they're Cuban, pursuing obscure paths through shadowy rooms like assassins' shuttles dancing in the loom. And all for what aim? Immortality's profit margins bring less than rain. To taste radiation's blaze on a magic carpet won't stave off disdain, or make you shine like a cradle in the market, nor offer same-day delivery for milk of paradise. But it can give senseless pain purpose, a crucible, instead of a circus drowning in recycled rain. A treasure in the rubble that is lootable, something beautiful that can resurface again. So the next one I have, sometimes, I'm pretty sure a lot of you, especially people who have the same issues that I have when it comes to coming up with names for things. Sometimes a name kind of comes to you at the right moment, and this is one of those. This is one of those cases. This one was called Request for a Transfer. Request for a transfer. Let me borrow a world for an hour or two, as I have no use for this one. Empty of excitement, like a muscle car's gas tank in a showroom, devoid of toys except for sexual contraptions and torture devices with pop art captions. This is a dimension of anxious androids and Japanese suicide forests. The greatest art now practice is of pain avoidance and riding the turnstile of malpractice, like a sweating and aging cowboy in a mechanical rodeo. Our tactics are all about buttressing the cathedral vibe, like a plastic mantis coasting on our mattresses' hive. So give me some fresh eyes and a passport to an organic basket of tangents. Magic sprawl on the angry scrawl of a candid punk spitting acid, gun runners in the tall grass, killing for an abstract canvas, a wrecking ball dancing like a skunk in mass transit, and I will offer 1+1 city bikes to my dogs, obsession and habit. Transport me to the cafe sprayed by sea salt air of an old world port of call, where anarchists debate with crisp biscuits and celebrate imperial downfalls, where debutantes laugh like bishops' trinkets before fire at dawn, where guitars pluck like whiskers of jaguars and smoke-filled bars lead to making love atop a sundial peeling like the stars, where travel means to go worlds away and everywhere are doors ajar. There, impossible remedies are written in the medley of scars on these bodies' discarded libraries, itinerant like the mobile bazaars and lost regard for beauty and its embassy of shards. Let me go into the embryo where hunger is a foreigner and stow away like foam on a mourner on its way to another start. Okay, I have a couple more for you guys. Again, all of these are new. The only one that was kind of a throwback was Disappointment, but these are all, if they're a little one note, it's been a one note year, so this is where we're at. But this one is this one's Bird Feed. Actually, Don't Feed the Bird, or Don't Feed the Birds. This is one of those cases of the titles here. But yeah, the name of this one is Don't Feed the Birds. I swipe right on the Mona Lisa before she freezes into an NFT. Embrace the car breaks viscera like a stranger's briefcase or walrus's meat, framed by a cold stethoscope. I don't bother to catch your poltergeist. I just breathe in this moment's catacomb before you seep in between its bones. They say despair has broad outlines, though I aver she has no waistline, as I starve on the blue vine, drinking an air knife riot from a paper bag. The package arrives just in time on wax wings, and everything is just fine, CCC, as long as we can seat hop repeatedly on the barbershop's chair springs. I can't deny the blood curry anymore, making all decisions blurry, curried by the favor of cotton-mouthed juries, and carried in the arms of junkie fairies, dripping in mercury, as rancid as hope. I tire of wonder-bred blindness and the Jurassic highnesses that continue believing they're giants in this era of despising. So how can you still want to see when fear and stupidity amass their party fleets? Staring at egg-white ceilings, peeling every evening, I reach out like a bird fleeing leopard skin seasons in search of new meaning. The drugs I don't need fall like dead leaves from a shelf that's leaning, a skeleton tree that begs for a cleaning, whose nooses are disappointed in their dreaming. Flying a kite inside a church while there's a thunderstorm raging at the same time, quite impolite. You've offended the napkins with your attempts at flight, as the jester's makeup bleeds into the wine. And those throwing paint on the walls of the decades, they're still lives. The fire keeping you alive is preserved in brine. Olives stuffed with peppers, on sale in ShopRite. Okay. I will do one more because I think I'm overstaying my welcome here. This one is called Alter Egos. This is my last one for tonight. Let's get that open. There you go. Alter Egos. Sitting cross-legged in the tumult, like an Indian in a solar flare, a spring ringing in a Ferris wheel about to tear, an octopus campus convening once a year. Halos and molars hover over you in no particular order, with invitations and despair. And thus, a second self, a circus barker, a dream mechanic, a successful accordion player, a black belt, a calculated Knievel, a carbonated ecstatic, calls my sad present self to a duel for his bell. My eyes sting from the baptistry's wine, but unrattled as a mime, I keep swan diving into the invisible prism. Commence the second life. Deploying a platoon in the mind's conch shell bedroom, jangoing, shaving with liquid moonlight, letting the lather do its worst and the sky do its work. A conductor painting with singers in the hearse. Trying to find the first face in the gallery's haze. Traced in paisley, they all start to look the same. Paintings desperate to escape their frames. Bernadette in the canvas burning watercress. When did fortune change? Always. In the best of times, hours, days, and seconds are irrelevant, but it's not the best of times, and that goes without mention. When you're the origin and the destination, there's no expectation. A horsehead memory bathes in 3 times 3. The alchemy experiments lead to lead. Freedom and peace become lifelong enemies, planting daggers in each other's eyes for a dirty prize below the bed. Have I been sincere? Did I die on any crosses or just for a mirror? I know that there's still more tangled hair to shear. Naked in a chair, refusing the undertaker and underwear, your thoughts flicker and bolt like electrocuted rogue mares in industrial factories or state affairs. The means of production will soon be seized, blah, 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 blah. Static splashes like abandoned seed in the back seat. Underneath the calculus of flesh, pomegranates and planets, alphas and omegas, hell stretches out its net like a terrestrial fisherman, urgent like any merchant for its merchandise. The once and future self, a fawn in the tangled bosque, a reckless pawn with a con that cobwebs can't compel, is the lost Holocaust, the sins of the father that you didn't know you caused. Held in stained glass stasis, an exploding moth caught inside an inkwell is left on pause. I was the invisible man for the first gulag, a propane angel lit like a Christmas table. I lay in parking lots that used to be empires, spoke with the dead and spread their truth in fables. Yet I never thought I was an archetype in the fog of war, or an unfinished script typed up on alien shores. But the sky's catalogs seem to have more detours in store. That's what I got for you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Amel. Thank you, man. That was beautiful. You haven't overstayed your welcome with me. Lovely reading. I want to move along to Buttered Roll. Buttered Roll, he's kind of a phenomenon. I mean, he's a performance artist. He's a poet. He's a painter. He makes collages. Sometimes when I've watched him, I thought, my God, he's like a comic. He does all of these things, and I have a list of places he's performed. The Arlo Nomad, Dee's Soulful Cafe, Jersey City Art House, Speakeasy at Pet Shop, the Meat Locker in Montclair, Great Weather for Media at Parks and Lounge, LaGuardia Performance Arts Center, and That Inspired World. Well, nice thing about poetry is it finally does come back to inspirations. And to inspire you all, I'd like to introduce a very inspiring young man, Buttered Roll. Take it away, man.
Thank you. Jim, it's good to see you. Amel, it was very good to see you as well. Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you for listening. I wish it were in person. Hopefully soon it'll be in person again. Looking forward to it. As is customary with most poetry readings, I'm going to start with the table of contents. Table of contents in no particular order. 1. All of the information immediately. 2. Bustelo, nervous breakdown size. 3. Highly contagious cosmic confusion. 4. The vicious cycle of reusable dishes. 5. Sirens. 6. Comfort food to the point of discomfort. 7. Fireworks at 3 a.m. 8. Available on all streaming platforms. 9. Just outside your front door. 10. All theories from fringe to cringe. Thank you. Up next is the local news. Latest fears, pharmaceuticals, refinance offers, family dealership, targeted fears, vicious platitudes, drugs named after goddesses, but not so local weather, aggressive arthritis, additional car dealerships, erectile dysfunction, irrelevant erection, self-peddled racism, targeted sensationalism, let's blame it on the devil, anything but the system, top-rated urologists, passive recreation, refinance your fear of death, take a loan on your anxieties. We believe in satanic panic, more police to protect the Applebee's, pre-approval for total bankruptcy, all your favorite fears at the top of the hour. Thank you. This next piece is called Midwinter in the Berg. Midwinter in the Berg. High noon. Shadows half a block long. The sun beams a lethargic blue. The sommeliers have gone south for the season, leaving our neurotransmitters under new management. Wedding season has moved inward. There is much time for sleep. The once vibrant fall into the final season is now heaps of compost on the sidewalk, hurdled by self-righteous shoes, walking to and from their livelihood. The time of the year when the Atlantic North of the suicidal West becomes a monochrome doldrum, a cold-blooded blue scale, parking cones the only aberration in the palette. The berg is bespeckled in a bright orange. The sommeliers went south and left us to pair our reds with parking cones until the snow can forgive us our transgressions. When the palette diversifies and the shadows get shorter, we can be a bit more adventurous with our neurotransmitters. We won't have to rely on parking cones for color. This next one is called Resi. 1. No. 2. Hard no. Fuck you for asking. 3. A slightly less emphatic no. 4. Still no, but maybe sneaks in through the back door. 5. 6. Maybe there was a cancellation at our location in Sheboygan. 7. I guess I'll check for cancellations at this location too. 8. That's weird. It appears that everyone has canceled. 9. You should invest in a slow cooker. 10. Your table's that way. This next one is called Heavy Weather. An overabundance of weather on some occasions. Forecasts calling for heavy moods. Days during which the sun has singled you out. The wind plays the arch villain, and precipitation purifies the landscape, a form of airborne absolution. On these days, the underside of a couch works well for cover. On other occasions, the weather is nowhere to be found. Days of nondescript sunlight, non-existent shadows, the scenery seems to be a centrist, ultra-moderate, middle-of-the-road chicken soup for the senses, liminal jello for your living dead experience. Presence of mind proves difficult when the forecast is calling for room temperature. Oh, the climates that people acclimate. The weathers that we weather through. A significant chance of overhead hostility in the rooms that we willfully walk into. Christ, the sun on those Saturdays. Heavy weather brings out the truest hues. On days when the weather is chicken soup, wear brighter colors and read the room. This next piece is called Social Isolation and Idle Hands. And if you can't tell from the title, I wrote this piece while I was hiding under my couch, which occurred like during the months of like March and April of last year. For a solid like 2.5 months, I was under my couch with a bottle of whiskey. Just kidding. 2 bottles. Social isolation and idle hands. How many consecutive calendars in this apartment? I'm wearing out the floorboards. So much nervous pacing between these 4 rooms, I've wandered several miles from the front door. But I can hear the landlord knocking from the inside of my adult-sized couch cushion fort on the living room floor. It's always the first of the month, and the super, who happens to hail from Halliburton, seems to have located my previously missing front door. So many tangents in this hermetically sealed apartment. So much room for rumination. How many covert corners in this haunted tenement. Idle hands and social isolation. All this newfound time spent remembering. So much downtime for the revisitation of a lifetime of partially regrettable marmot. Me and Kermit put a kettle on the stove. We watched the skeletons Harlem shake out of every one of my closets. The skeletons in my closets have a dance troupe. You can follow them on TikTok. All of the information is ever present in this apartment. It's a white noise infestation. I'm holding space for all the hype. Total big brain saturation. My wireless router has sprung a leak. White knuckles sorting through this inundation. Ones and zeros, wall-to-wall, Post-its, Polaroids, rabbit holes, red ink. These idle hands have created a conspiracy corkboard, which has become part and parcel this apartment's foundation. And with the exclusive cooperation of the now defunct nation of Prussia, me, myself, and I have created a committee for rabbit hole exploration. The rabbit holes are multitudinous and super shallow in the now defunct nation of Prussia. Demagogues and whatnot. The anti-intellectual state is both funding and endorsing this collaboration. To read the rabbit hole report, please swipe up and subscribe to my OnlyFans. To see a video of me exposing my amygdala, please swipe up. Just one paywall in between you and my amygdala. Thank you. Guys, I got one more short piece for today.
Jason, it's bedtime.
Respectfully, I'm Buttered Roll right now, reading poetry. I will go to bed whenever I want to, okay?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Apologies, Okay, here we go. This piece is called Workshare. Avant-garde opera history. Local summer. Movements that rhyme with each other. All remarkably absent of people. Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
And man, I got to get me. I have to find out what an amygdala is. I'm going to go to my OED as soon as we're out of here, man. I've got to find out. And you really should think about getting some sleep. You need a beauty sleep big time.
Yeah, I do. I'm just getting less and less handsome day by day. I know.
It's, Joe Namath wrote a book in like 1968. I can't wait till tomorrow because I get better looking every day. That was his autobiography. And have you seen Joe Namath? It didn't work out that way.
No.
It really didn't work out that way. He may be the ugliest man I've ever seen.
And plus, he's trying to make out with sportscasters like right on live television too. So
I know. I'm disappointed in what's happened to Joe Willie. Anyway, thank you so much, Buttered Roll. It was a pleasure. And like I said, once again, I found myself trying to figure out where you are. Like, is it a poet? Is it a performer? And if you don't know, you're going to end up someplace you weren't expecting. And that's always a great thing. I finally figured you're really just an explorer. And that's the best thing to be. And to that, folks, I'm going to bring this thing around to its inevitable conclusion. Go out and explore some shit, man. You've been locked in the house too long. When you write, like these two gentlemen we heard, sometimes start writing before you know what you're going to finish saying. Let it happen. That could be fun, right? That's exploring, like going into a strange wood and figuring out what it is you're actually seeing right in front of you. Anyway, want to thank everybody for showing up. Our next thing is going to be, I believe it's July 6th. I don't have my poets yet. I kind of like to think about it for the week after the last reading. That's kind of what I've been doing lately. I've been enjoying it. It's been great to have Amel and Buttered, I think that's his first name, Mr. Roll, and Mr. Barrientos did a fine job tonight, and I want to thank you all for coming, and join us again on July 6th when we will have the mystery guests. It should be a lot of fun. Take care, everybody. Have a great post-Memorial Day.